class starts now. So once again, I welcome every single person to this awesome meeting, and then I urge you to pay attention to every single detail during the course of the session. So before we do the live streaming for the material today, I want to first state that the things that will be taught here can be used in terms of the professional settings you find yourself in, probably in an organization, or probably it's for personal use for your own business. And also it can also be for maybe you want to go into this corporate practice as a person. You can also utilize the knowledge that will be shared here to start your own branding as a corporate expert or a business consultant from the knowledge that will be shared here. So it can either be used for personal consumption, it can be used for as a profession, as a skill. It can be used also to widen your knowledge in the area of corporate practice. So I will be sharing the material now, and we will start with where we stopped in the last class. So I want us to follow carefully, because at the end of this class I will still be sharing, we'll be doing a live practice on the whole corporate practice CAC website, the new website. We'll just do an introductory kind of overview of the website at the end of this class, so that you will get some insights on that. And again, I'll be sharing how you can use the CAC website even without being an agent, although it has its backside and it has some limitations, but I can assure you that it will give you an edge, just in case you want to register your business yourself, or just in case you have a business registered and you want to do things like annual return and some other post-corporation stuff, and you need to log into the website but you don't have the user pin and everything. I'll be sharing how you can do that with a screen on the screen as you're following me. So we will dive into the slide now. I believe we can see my screen from wherever. Alright, so in our last class we looked at the whole intro to corporate practice, so I wouldn't spend a lot of time again with this, but just in a manner of recap, I will be sharing just briefly all that I said in the last class. So basically we've looked at the meaning of corporate practice, where we talked about the fact that corporate practice basically involves the aspects that governs every area of a company with respect to the governance, with respect to compliance, internal controls, the stakeholder engagement, and even the risk management. And I took my time to explain each of these aspects and how it is relevant to you as an individual or as a professional helping others register or helping others with corporate practice. I remember that we also looked at the area of governance, and we understood from what was taught that governance basically has to do majorly with the structure of the company, in terms of the offices, the shareholders, the directors, and all other areas, the managing director, the executive director, even the chief executive officer. So I explained that the knowledge of the governance helps you to put yourself out there in a better form with respect to this knowledge that you have more advantage, because you understand how a company should work, you understand what you're expected to do in a company, you understand your roles, and you don't need anyone, because in most cases people are not really taught what they are expected to do when they are given an office. You are expected to know the office you are applying for after the job interview or even during the job interview, so it's expected you have that knowledge. So we'll move to the next, which is why compliance is necessary. You see, over the years, I've seen a lot of people run into different risks and different issues with the law because they are not familiar with the aspect of the law that enables them to do everything they have to do with their business properly. So most times people just venture into all kind of things and they are not even aware of what the law in the state or the country has to say concerning that. So in looking at corporate governance and corporate practice, you would understand the different areas through which a company would face in terms of the compliance and with respect to starting up. So I'll be very direct now. If a company would desire to be in compliance, the first thing to do is to register the company, and the registration goes with CAC, that is Corporate Affairs Commission. They are the body in charge of that. So after the registration, in the course of this class, we'll be explaining all that has to do with the registration and the different types of entities, company entities that can be registered, and the requirements, and a lot about the practical aspect of it. But for the meantime, what we are looking at now is the phases, the stages that a company passes in order to stay compliant with the law. So number one, if you must carry out a business in Nigeria or run a company in Nigeria, it has to be registered. And we know the benefit of registration. Registration gives your name legal validation, gives your name the branding quality that it deserves. It enables your company to compete with other competent entities out there, probably doing the same thing or similar services you're rendering. So registration, apart from the validation from the government and what it helps you to do in terms of being in compliance, it's also good for your business growth. It makes your business have a brand that can be presented to the people. So what I'm saying basically is that the first thing you have to do if you are registering a company, if you are starting up a company, is to register. Then the next thing you have to do is to look at other laws, other agencies that are responsible for compliance in Nigeria. For instance, we have the EFCC, we have the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The EFCC now, they are solely responsible for rendering or offering service that has to do with money laundering. So they guard against all form of money laundering by issuing a certificate of compliance, and that certificate of compliance is called SCUMEL. Now, the SCUMEL is meant to regulate all form of businesses, all form of transactions that is going on in that business. So you cannot have a corporate account, you cannot have a bank account with your corporate name or your business name without having a SCUMEL, because the government is able to see what kind of business you are dealing in, if you are into money laundering or if you are trading on a regulated business or you are doing that which is meant to be done. So what this SCUMEL enables you to do is that you are able to have a corporate account, a valid account that is safe for transaction. You can do all kind of transaction with that account as long as it has passed through the regulatory body of EFCC. Now, having done that of EFCC, you also need to get a TIN number, which is full for tax identification number. This enables you to run your business with the FIRS, which is responsible for all the taxing system in the country. Any business or any corporate company that is in compliance must have the tax identification number to enable them be tax compliant. There are many things you want to do in this country. For instance, probably your business is, you are into tech, because these days a lot of persons are opening tech and are running tech. Your business, you are into tech, and you know what you need is probably the funding. You need a fund, you need the capital to run the tech business, to create the tech app or to build the website, or anything you want to do. You need funds for it, and there are very lucrative government grants and other foreign company grants that offers this help and assistance to a lot of companies, a lot of tech companies. But because the tech company has not been registered, and even though it might have registered, it is not in compliance, we've seen that a lot of them have missed out on this opportunity. So getting your TIN, the tax identification number, enables you to be in compliance with the taxing system in Nigeria. So I believe once you've gotten your TIN, it will be linked to your bank account and also to your business. And with that, you can remit tax and also do all the compliance. With the new tax law that has been made in 2025, that is Nigeria Tax Act, we have been made to understand that certain business are exempted from paying tax. So if your own business, if the business you run falls within the category that has been exempted from paying tax or remitted tax, it means that you don't need to pay tax even while running that business. But this business that have been exempted from paying tax is restricted to just medical business and health and education. So if you are into the medical field and education and also agriculture, these three areas have been exempted from paying tax. But every other area, whether you are trading, you are into tech or whatever you are doing, you have to pay tax. And the way they pay tax is basically every month. For value added tax, that is VAT, it's paid every month. And if you are running a company, you pay company income tax yearly. And it is not all company that is liable to pay tax yearly, because there's a turnover, an annual turnover that must be subjected to tax, and that is from 25 million annual profit, 25 million annual profit a year. Talking about the tax, if your business is below 25 million annual profit, it means you are not going to pay tax. You are not under the category of company that should pay company income tax. Now, company income tax is different from the value added tax. They are two different things, because if you are paying the value added tax, which is compulsory for business except those that are exempted, so every month the business name. Now, like I was explaining on the issue of value added tax, it must be paid every month by the business name. Whether it's a business name, whether it's a company, it must be paid every month. However, a business name is not required to pay value added, is not required to pay company income tax, because it is not a company. It's only company that pays the company income tax, and that one is paid just once in a month, once in a year, the company income tax. And it's only those companies that makes up to 25 million annual profit that is liable to pay the company income tax once a year. Why for the value added tax, whether it's a company or a business name or any other entity, even an NGO, even a church or a ministry, even a club or association, whatever entity registered under CAC and also under the FRS must pay VAT, value added tax, every month, except it has been exempted. And I mentioned that the exemption just covers the education, the health, and also agriculture. Now, let's not take much of our time on compliance. We will be moving to the next part of the slide. We know that for your business, for your company, it's necessary that you function efficiently, and this whole corporate practice enables you to function efficiently, as I've just explained. Imagine having a business and hoping that after registration you'll be able to do every single thing, or after CAC you can venture into a lot of other things, you can get grants and get loans, only to find out that 2 years later you've not been in compliance. EFCC is against your business, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FRS, is against your business because you're not in compliance. So this helps you to be efficient. Corporate practice helps you to be efficient with the law. Also, it helps your reputation, as I've already explained, and it helps you to be investment ready. Like the grants and everything you receive, you can increase your capital. You can even have people come and invest in your business, and many other things that you will be exposed to. Having said everything that has been said, we'll be looking at the different types of business structures in Nigeria, because these business structures are what is obtainable in practice. The business structure will enable you understand what you should do and what you should register. Now, a client can come to you and he explains the different types of services or services he's rendering, and he expects you to know what area or what to register, and also the implications with registering those that kind of business. Now, in practice, I want us to understand that there are different kind of entities your business can be registered under. If you are a professional or you are looking to be a professional in this field, or you want to be an expert with CAC and Co, you must understand when to register a business name. In practice, you must also understand when to register a company. You must understand the implication of registering a business name or registering a company and others. Now, there are different types of business structure in Nigeria. Number one, we have a business name. In practice, it is called business name, and some people, the laymen, they call it enterprise. So someone can meet you and they are informing you that they want to register an enterprise. That is a business name. So what does a business name do basically? A business name is a single entity that is registered by a particular person. Now, a business name cannot accommodate more than one person in terms of sole proprietorship, or more than 2 persons in terms of partnership. Now there are 2 types of business name. It's either a proprietorship or a partnership. Now the partnership is there in the sense that they are running a business category that falls within a business name. What are the types of business category that falls under a business name? There are certain things you cannot register as a business name. Now last class I think I explained that you cannot register a fintech or a finance company as a business name because that company has a share requirement of 20 million. Any business that has a share requirement with CAC that the minimum share must be 5 million or 2 million or 3 million, it cannot be registered as a business name. That is the first thing you must know. And also professional services, except for law firm, professional services like the engineering firm or engineering companies or even the hospital, even different business structures that are professional in nature, those ones must be registered as a company and not as a business name. Now if you're looking at the traders, like you have an online store or you are into trading, maybe buying and selling, you have a shop somewhere, you can register a business name. That can suffice as a business name. General contracts, general merchandise, maybe you just sell things or you just do drop shipping for different items or products, that will suffice as a business name. So moving forward, one of the things you should know about a business name is with respect to the implication of registering a business name. If you're registering a business name, it means that you are seen as a business, and that affects the way you pay tax. Your business name would not be taxed based on the amount of profit minus the operational expenditure and everything. Your business name will be taxed based on your entire income as a business. Meanwhile, if it's a company, it will be taxed based on your profit, excluding the payments of the salaries and the operational expenditures and every other expenditure that is accountable for or accounted for. That is what will be taxed. So the implication for business name is that you are seen as a business. Your profit belongs to you alone, and they don't expect to have any employee. Since it's a sole proprietor, you own the capital, you take all the risk yourself, you take all the profit yourself, and therefore you pay all the tax yourself. You're not entitled to any salary payments as an expenditure for a reason to be excluded from tax payment. So if you are raising a business name, it means you are going to pay complete every single profit you make will be liable to taxation, or be liable to tax it. Now, do you know that even those carrying out a business name can register as a company? If you are into trading, if you are into buying and selling or any other business that can qualify for a business name, such business can also be registered as a company. It's your choice to make. During registration for a business name, we will be doing a class on business name fully in our next class, because this is more like an introductory class. So we'll have another class for the business name where we'll look at all the requirements for registering a business name, and we'll see the whole practical aspect of it in our next class. So moving forward, a private company limited by shares. Now this company in practice, it can also be registered by a single person. Just you, probably you are the only person who has the vision, and you've not been able to share the vision with other shareholders, but you're already making money out of it, and you're having other opportunities that you believe you could secure after registration. Then you can proceed as an individual to register it. However, company registration is not limited to a single person, so you can register it with just you, and you can also register with multiple people. Now, one of the things you should understand about a private company is that it is regulated by shares. So in practice, the minimum amount of shares you can register is 100,000, and we also have from 100,000 above. So if you are registering a business that is within the range of 100,000 to 1 million, in practice they are seen as the same thing. So if your business is 1 million, you are still paying the same fee for registration, and you are still considered to pay the same amount of money in terms of tax and everything with respect to that share capital from 100,000 to 1 million. So if you are registering a business from 1 million above, the cost of registration also increases. So most times when we are registering, we register 100,000 to 1 million. We register all the companies within this range as 1 million shares, because they are basically the same thing. instead of having 100,000 as your company type or your company capacity, you can register 1 million, since they have the same implication. Imagine presenting your certificate or your company makeup and all that to a client or an investor, and what they see is 100,000. So it means your company is worth just 100,000. Your company capacity is just 100,000. So the shares determine the type of company you are running. The shares determine the size of company that you are running. So if a client approaches you and they want to understand why they should register a company with 20 million share capital or a company with even 100 million share capital or more, the share capital determines the size, and it also determines the credibility of the company. But most importantly, determine the size. If you are aiming for the sky, if you are aiming to be global, it means your company share capital should also speak the same vision that you have in mind. If you are registering just 1 million share capital and you want to be, you are into car importation, for instance, and you are registering just 1 million share capital and you sell cars of over 15 million, 20 million, 30 million above, imagine presenting your maybe you want partners in that business to be able to import more cars. Imagine presenting your certificate to an investor, and what they are seeing in your certificate is your company size is just 1 million. The first question they will ask you is, can you buy any car with 1 million? So the point of the registration size and the shares is to determine the size of the company, and this gives your investors, and it gives your investors more trust in your business. It gives your investors the courage to trade with you, because they know if you are able to register a business of 1 million and you're able to register a business of 10 million to 20 million, the capacity is, if you are registering a company, the size matters. If you're going to convince a client about the size of the company you're registering, you have to let them know the importance of the size and the implication of the size too, because the higher the size, the higher the cost of registration. It is not the same amount of money that is used in registering if you are registering a company with a share capital of 10 million, the price is definitely different from that of 1 million. If you are registering 15 million, it's higher than that of 1 million. So when we get to the stage of the practical stage, we will look at the way to calculate this and also how to go about it. So now back to the slides were in public companies limited by share. So generally, public companies are more specialized in nature. It's not just any business or anything you register as a public company, but most banks in Nigeria operate as a public company. So public company basically is looking at the amount of shareholders and the ability to invite people to become shareholders, do adverts to become shareholders. It's only reserved with public companies. In fact, if you want to venture into adverts of shares and investment into your company, the fastest way to do that is through the registration of a public company. And the implication of registering a public company is that the share capital minimum for registering a public company is just 2 million shares. So it means that anything you are doing with a public company, you must have the capacity to register a company worth 2 million shares. So now, if you are registering a company worth 2 million shares, it means that you have to structure the company in that manner. And when registering a public company, we have seen that a lot of people in practice, a lot of people they believe, or rather they're not informed, because they see the public company as the same as private company. Meanwhile, it's different, because the registration process and everything is different. It requires more people. At least 2 persons must be able to meet and agree before they can register a public company, unlike a private company where you just as a person you can register it as an individual. Now, moving to the next part of this, in the practical classes we will see more about public company. So we're going to move into the next phase now, which is the company limited by guarantee. Now, this is a very necessary part of registration, because there is a new law in Nigeria now that states all company, all education company that has to do with higher institution like the university or the college of education, please pay attention, because this is necessary for practical, just for the practical class. Now, guarantee is not just restricted to non-profits alone or maybe you are into profit, you want to do some business, and you're also doing some NGO. Because I believe a lot of people that were taught in school, they were taught that guarantee is basically for businesses, for non-profit that are into some kind of business. But I'm telling you today that in practice, guarantee is now used both for educational bodies, not just for social body, but even a school. For instance, a private university must be registered as a guarantee. Also, a public university must also be registered as a guarantee. Also, you are running a college of education, it must also be registered as a guarantee. Or you are running any form of institution apart from secondary schools. When we are talking about secondary schools or primary schools and those schools, those level can be registered as a company and not a guarantee. So there are different others that can be registered as a guarantee, like a social organization that is into some level of profit making or business. So you can also register that as a guarantee. Now, before you can register as guarantee, there are serious requirements from the government, and that is you must get the AG approval. There's a guarantee we're working on presently, and we are on the area of obtaining the approval from the AG, and the processes involved, it's much, including the time it takes. But once you can get the AG to approve the guarantee, then definitely you are done with registration. So I'll move to the next thing, which is incorporated trustees. This is IT, short for IT. Now, I want us to understand that incorporated trustees, that is IT, they are required in 3 different areas. Number 1, for religious bodies or church or ministries. Number 2, for charitable purpose like foundations, and also we have the foundation or NGO as the case may be. Then we also have cultural bodies like a community-based association, or it can also be a club-based association or a cultural-based association. It's a club or association, that is for the cultural bodies. So the 3 names in practice here are they come to you that they want to register an NGO, or they want to register a club or an association of persons who are just friends, or they come to you that they want to register a church or a ministry. Now all this falls within incorporated trustee, IT. So basically they are registered by the board of trustees. So if you're going to register an IT, there must be trustees, and I always advise that your trustees should be limited to just 2 to 3 persons. Now there is a governing body and there is a trustee. In practice, the people who are to undergo registration should be the trustees and not the entire governing body. An association can have up to 50 persons, can have up to 50 individuals that are members of the association. However, the people that should register should just be the chairman, the secretary, and maybe one other trustee. Now, the reason why it is this way is because there are requirements for the registration that if you are not able to clear those requirements, you wouldn't be able to register a trustee. For instance, we have newspaper publication. The newspaper publication area requires that there is always some application made to all the newspaper body. We have a News Direct, we have other newspaper like Vanguard, and many of the online newspaper body that is regarded as the national dailies. Now these national dailies, they are what you need in order to do a publication for the registration. Now from this that I've just said, if you are going to be submitting your names to this newspaper body, there's a way they print the newspaper that will limit the publication. If you have more than 3 persons, you will face issues with that registration. If you have up to like 5 persons or 4 persons, the newspaper it will not be visible, and if it is not visible, you cannot proceed with the registration because the CAC will not accept a newspaper publication that is not visible. So this is one challenge that a lot of people pass through in the registration. So if you're registering any of the IT, you must make sure that your newspaper publication is visible, and to do that you have to register with just 3 persons at most. Then the objective of the IT also should be limited to 3 objects, and it should be brief. You shouldn't state all the objects in the registration process. You can just take the necessary object. Then others, you can write it in the bylaw, and the bylaw can also contain, the bylaw is a document that contains all the information of the IT, what it does, like the constitution of the IT. So I believe with this, we can proceed to the next. Now for the IT registration, in practice, when we're looking at IT, we'll talk about the requirements and every other thing for registering an IT. So the next we have here is the CAC portal, and I'll be rushing through this because this class should end in 10 minutes. So the CAC portal, now most of us may not be aware, but as a corporate expert or a business expert, you need to be able to familiarize yourself with the CAC portal, because if you get a contract or you have a job, you must learn how to navigate the portal. You must learn how to go through the portal. Now, one of the things that you should pay attention to in the portal is the fact that the portal has now been upgraded. Some of the things they do is now AI. In the previous portal we used, it was more like using human resources or human personnel to do all the tasks. So after uploading your things online, the people will still have to go through it manually before it can be approved. But now they have AI attached to it, so everything you do is now so sorry about that. I can see some people trying to message me. So please, let's move back to the class. Everything you do is now AI with artificial intelligence. It's a bit more difficult, it's a bit more complex, but we're going to be doing a walkover in that area when we get there. So basically, if you are in the CAC portal, you will first be required to log in. But like I said earlier, I was going to be showing you guys the different ways you can log in. You can either log in as an agent, you can log in as a public user, you can log in also as a corporate entity. That is for the post-incorporation services. Now, I want to take some feedback. If you can still hear me, please let me know in the chat, in the live chat. If you can still hear me, let me know. And then I believe some of us are having network issue. Because of that, we will be leaving an abridged version of the class on the live, on the website, on the YouTube channel. So if you log into the site, you're going to be seeing various things. And before you log in, that's if you're an agent, before you log in, you will have to get an OTP code from your email. We'll be showing you that in the practical aspect tomorrow. So, but for today's class, this is the major thing. The new website has been upgraded to artificial intelligence, so things happen easier, faster, but it's a bit complex. You have to exercise patience with it. You have to be able to understand it and follow the instructions carefully. Except that if you're not able to follow it carefully, you won't get the result you desire. So that is it basically. Now, the different services you can get on the CAC portal is name reservation, then registration, then you upload your documents up there. You do also post incorporation services or the post registration, like change of the director or removal of director or change of address or even change of name. There are a lot of things you can do in the post incorporation, which we will still be showing you before the end of the class, before the end of the master class. So now, with respect to the name reservation, we are going to be having another class where we'll talk about name reservation, how to reserve a name, whether it's a business name, whether it's a company, the requirements for that, and we'll do a practical class on it as well. So for this class, we are looking at simply the overview of the portal. So we'll move to the next thing. Please take note of the link to the portal. So what are the steps to register a business via the portal? The first thing you have to do is to do a public search and name reservation. So the name reservation includes a public search. In the current portal, they are now together. While you are doing the reservation, you are also doing the public search. If your public search is approved in the current portal, then you can directly move to the reservation. That is how it's done presently. So what it means is that immediately you are doing your public search, you can now reserve the name and start working on the name immediately. That's what it means. So then after that, you fill the necessary forms, and the forms include the details of the business, the address of the business, the partners or proprietors or the directors or shareholders of the business, as the case may be, if it's a company or business name. Then after filling all the necessary input on the forms, you see the live form. We're going to have a practical on that when we get there in the next class. I believe our next class is tomorrow. We'll have a practical class on it. Then after filling up all the necessary forms, you move to the uploads. You upload all the documents necessary. I'll also be showing you how to upload on whether you're using your mobile phone or using your system. It's literally the same thing. So also after the upload, you now make your payment, and then you wait for 3 to 5 days before you now get your certificate. So that is it basically. So what are the key requirements for registration? Now, this key requirements means the general requirements, what all company or business name should have before registering. Now, if it's a business name, the ID of the owner of the business, whether it's the proprietor or the director or shareholder, the ID must be available. In fact, just note this: any service you are doing with CAC, because it is online, the only way they can verify that you have the consent of whosoever is through the ID and the signature. So the ID, the valid identity card of the person, can either be in 5 ways. You either use the driver's license, the NIN slip, the international passport, or even the voter's card. Now, these are different IDs that can be used. You can use either of them, any of them that you have or your client has. So apart from the ID is the signature. The signature of the person registering must also be submitted. Whatever you are doing in CAC, whether it's post-incorporation, whether it's pre-incorporation, whether you are trying to register a new business, whether you are trying to correct an issue, or you are trying to pay annual returns, whatever you are doing, you must have the ID and also the signature of the person. So moving to the next, we have the passport or the photograph. If it's a business name, passport is mandatory. The passport photo is mandatory. So the person must have a sample. It must not be a passport. It can also be a portrait. As long as the person's face is captured properly, it suffices. So also we have the business address and the objective. This is very fundamental. It's required for all business. Whether it's a business name or it's a company or it's an NGO, an IT, is required for it. So the next thing we are looking at is with respect to the shareholding details. If you are raising a company, then definitely you must get the shareholding details. There's a company I'm working on recently, and we asked for the shareholding details, and then the people registering were at a conflict, because the shareholding details determine the capacity you have in the company. If you are a founder, you most likely should have the highest shareholder. You should be the highest shareholder in the company. If you are a partner, if you are working as a partnership, then it's a 50-50 something. But if you are working as a company, then there is a founder and there are others that are co-founders of the company who would also have some shares of the company, depending on how it can be shared. There are times that the company could be registering up to 5 persons or 6 persons. Each person would have a particular share ratio. So I believe that brings us to that aspect. Now we are going to be ending the class with this. Corporate practice generally ensures your business operates legally, and also it ensures that you are in compliance, as I've said earlier. Then CAC regulates the business entity in Nigeria, that is Corporate Affairs Commission. Everything you need to do with start up to the legal aspect is CAC. Then the knowledge that we have shared today is what will enable you to have a proper understanding of how to structure your business legally. And as you already know, CAMA regulates this. So because of the time we spent, we're going to continue our practical section tomorrow. So we'll just do all the practicals tomorrow as we already planned. If we had finished earlier, I would have done this practical today, but we'll continue with the class tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish to continue this live session with you in our next class. Have a wonderful time.